In the frozen skies of January 3, 1943, a young American airman named Alan Magee climbed aboard his B-17 Flying Fortress. Snap, crackle, pop, for a bombing mission over France. He was only 21, tired, cold, and terrified, but determined to do his duty. The engines roared to life across the icy English airfield, their thunder shaking the morning fog as the crew prepared for takeoff. Their target was the railway yards of Saint-Nazaire, a fortress city bristling with anti-aircraft guns. As the formation climbed, the world below turned to a silver blur of clouds and frost. Magee took his position inside the cramped ball turret beneath the bomber, a tiny glass sphere no larger than a washing machine, hanging between heaven and death. He adjusted his twin .50 caliber guns, breathing through the hiss of oxygen lines, listening to the hum of the engines, unaware that in a few short minutes, those same engines would become his coffin. At 20,000 feet, the horizon exploded into chaos. German fighters, sleek Messerschmitts, tore through the formation, spitting fire and smoke. Tracer rounds streaked like burning comets, the radio filled with screams and static. Magee's turret shook violently as cannon shells ripped through the fuselage. A blast tore into the right wing. The B-17 began to spiral out of control. Inside, smoke and flame turned the air into a nightmare. Alan's arm was shredded, his parachute burned beyond use. Yet he crawled out from his turret, choking on fumes, blood dripping from his face. The intercom was dead. The aircraft was breaking apart. With no hope left, he did the only thing a man could do. He jumped. The wind swallowed him whole. He tumbled headfirst into open sky, falling from 22,000 feet without a parachute. The cold was paralyzing, the air screaming past him like a hurricane. He saw pieces of his plane burning above, then the earth, dark, distant, and rising fast. For a few moments, Alan could only think of home, of his mother's kitchen, of quiet mornings in New Jersey. Then he blacked out, still falling. Below him stood the Saint-Nazaire train station, its iron and glass roof glinting in the weak winter sun. Seconds later, his body crashed through that roof, smashing through thick glass that shattered beneath the force. The steel beams caught him, slowing his fall just enough for the impossible to happen. He hit the platform, broken, battered, and covered in blood, but still alive. Locals and German soldiers ran toward the wreckage, staring in disbelief. One officer whispered, "Unmöglich!" Impossible. His right arm was mangled, ribs shattered, lung punctured, yet he was breathing. The same men who shot his plane down now carried him to a hospital, saving his life. For months, Alan lay recovering in a German POW ward. He couldn't lift his arm, couldn't eat without help, but he never stopped smiling. When another prisoner asked him how he survived, he simply said, "Maybe the sky wasn't ready to let me go." A year later, fate tested him again. Allied bombers struck near the camp, explosions ripping through the barracks. But once more, Magee survived with only scratches. 2 falls, 2 survivals, 2 miracles. When the war ended, Alan returned home to New Jersey. Doctors called him a medical mystery. Newspapers dubbed him the man who fell from the sky and lived. Yet he refused fame. He worked quietly, married, and lived to the age of 84. Decades later, when someone asked if he ever feared flying again, he laughed softly and said, "I don't fear falling anymore." In a world torn apart by war, Alan Magee's story reminds us that courage is not the absence of fear. It is falling from the sky and still choosing to rise again. He didn't just survive the war, he survived the impossible.